Everybody, welcome to the Dope and Tape Show. Let me take my glasses off so we don't have any glare. We got Mountain Man Paul. So Mountain Man Paul is coming back on here. He's a mining fitter, which is already nuts. So that just lets you know right out of the gate that he is tougher than every single one of us. So we're super excited to
Oh,
get
come
him
on,
back
man.
on. He has stories for days, as y'all knew, and we probably get I don't even know how many times we get messages between me and Bobby about bringing you back on. And
So
before I get
many.
too deep into it,
That's
I
amazing.
want to let everybody know that it's free to it's free to come on the show, and it's also we just want to hear everybody's story. If you have a friend that you think has a great story, send them our way. And we're just here for the better of the community, and as well as fire protection. We just want to grow that community through sharing with everybody else. So with that said, welcome, Paul. Welcome back to the
Yeah,
show.
thank you.
We're
I'm glad to
super
be
happy
here.
to have you back again.
Yeah, it's exciting. Uh, like I said, it's a little weird. I live on the road, so I'm out here in the middle of nowhere again. Uh, in my corn patch, I grew some popcorn for my wife. She loves that popcorn. So
So you
uh, I
grow
didn't
your
even know
own
this.
popcorn? Grow and make your
Yeah,
own
yeah,
popcorn? Wow.
it's,
Yo, he does
yeah,
it all.
man. A lot of
Mountain Man Paul
it
does it
right
all.
now. We got
Oh, he's
yeah.
gonna.
See when the tassels get dark like that, it's ready to pick. So that's a good one. It's just little cobs of corn, but you can take this ear of corn and you dry it
Yo,
out and pop it right in the microwave. Huh? Put it in the paper
Whoa.
bag. My wife loves it.
In a
dude,
paper
Yeah, so
bag?
you're the
and
man.
you can grow it yourself.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you
Whoa.
just next time you get popcorn, just take a handful of that and go ahead and plant it, germinate it, and it'll grow, man. You can grow your own popcorn. Your kids can it'll pop right on the cob. It's pretty wild, but
That's awesome. We're actually live on
yeah,
Facebook. We're live on YouTube. I couldn't get Twitch going, but I have been poking around. If you're
really,
watching us live, or you're watching the replay, we really appreciate you
wow.
if you could hit the like button. We see like 100 views, but we only can see like 10 likes. Let's try to drive those numbers up, please. We got Paul back. We're gonna skip the bio. If you guys want to see Paul's bio, you have to go back watch the first episode. We're gonna get right into it because he's got a lot of stories and we want to hear them. So what do you think, Paul? What do you want to
Yes,
start
sir.
with?
Well, we left off, in the coal mine thing, but it's like I said, for the past 15 years, I've been involved with fire protection at with all the energy companies like Halliburton and Consol Energy and Chesapeake Energy, uh, Patriot Coal, like you know wherever there's energy, like the windmills. Uh, so I mean, we could touch on a little bit of all that because I got to visit uh, each one of those. I've had some experience in fire protection on natural gas wells, uh, and now and the windmills that just blows my mind. These giant windmills, because they're pretty much everywhere there. But back then, when I first started, the windmills were coming around maybe 10 years ago, where we got involved with it, and just understanding how the the windmill generates power, and it doesn't directly feed the grid like you would think. Like it's not really spinning out there and then power coming from it like it would at your house through a transfer switch or something like that. But they go to these giant battery barns on the top of a mountain,
Oh
which
wow.
require, and that's what that require each one of those battery barns. So there's lithium ion batteries, and y'all were talking about this the other day in your
Hmm.
when we were talking about the lithium battery coverage and how difficult it is because they're these the containers that house the batteries. It's like they come delivered out there, and there's maybe I don't even know. There's a bunch of and they look like line cards, like computers, like a big. It's just it's strange. You wouldn't think it looks like it don't look like a battery like you would think. They're in these.
Right.
They pull out and
It
they're
sounds
on.
like it
They're
sounds like a
stacked.
fire
There's
hazard.
stacks of them. Oh, it's absolutely, and the heat that's generated in there. I mean, you know how hot your phone gets when you get too many apps going at one time. But
Oh,
it's pretty much those batteries do one thing, and that store energy. But
I
but
know
the
about
problem
that.
with the fire protection, the problem with the fire protection end of it is, we have to use a clean agent because not because you can't use water to put out an electrical fire, but uh, the thing about it is, if one of those batteries ignites in the center of the shelves in the brackets, the fire is burning back behind there. You can't. There's no way to spray water on one certain little area,
Right.
and of course, you want to extinguish a fire as quickly as possible, and they monitor these things with these infrared cameras and everything. They can see the little hot spots. It's like a pre-fire
What is it, Bri?
system.
Didn't Reliable just release
Uh,
an 11.2 that's supposed to put what do they call
yes,
it? Cold out. They call it cold out, or it's supposed to help suppress. I think it's an 11.2 K factor made by Reliable that's supposed to be able to control the lithium ion thermal runaway. That seems crazy. So let's talk about the
yes,
what are they doing?
and really,
I,
I'll
that's
find it.
going to
Y'all
be
keep
the
going. I'll
forefront
find it.
of. That's going to be on the forefront of. Here we are again with fire suppression and how wide the spectrum is on this stuff. I mean, it, and it, everything ignites at some point. Steel burns, rock will burn. I mean, that's how we make concrete. The ignition point of different gases, different elements, different things like coal or natural gas, like that. To understand fire suppression, you've got to understand the source of the fire, where how to react to something. Um, so you kind of got to understand a little bit about how it works and what I mean, lithium ion batteries and how they're made and what would make them overheat and ignite. Because really, it's
when I have
almost like the
every
space
app on
shuttle. If
I have
something
every
goes
app open
wrong with
all at once, and then my phone gets really hot.
yes,
So
yes,
there's a K11.2. There are R models, R29 models. There's an upright and a pendant. Um, and I'm looking to see what the most used
Allegedly
is,
they
but
do cold out. What's up, everybody in the chat? Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. Please hit the like button.
yeah,
We're live on
yes.
Facebook
Please like the like button.
and on YouTube. So I had someone reach out from Facebook on I was checking I was checking DMs on the TikTok page, and the guy from Fire Sprinklers Unite on Facebook reached out and he said that we were welcome to share it right there. So I was trying to get the Facebook thing going. I just shared it in there. Maybe we'll get some Facebook cats in this.
Oh, that's awesome.
I still haven't got my voice back, Bry, from you making me do all the work down in Orlando.
Yeah,
we were
y'all are great
fussing
traveling
at
around.
each
Yeah,
other like I mean just like a foreman and an apprentice. Like you're just going like back and forth the whole trip.
You're the
The whole
apprentice.
trip. Who oh yeah?
yeah.
I was just fucking around. Yeah, we were definitely bantering. Like it was just banter the whole time. That's it.
Yeah, that's
That's how
awesome.
I
Y'all
work
do a
up
great
here.
job with that. I couldn't ever get on a stage or something like that in front of a bunch of people. Uh, life's complicated as enough. I mean, I give it up to y'all. Of course, youth is one thing. I'm 60 years old, dude. Uh, and plus, when you're working, it's like I don't even understand a lot about how they make us understand. We got classes about how uh, the numbers work for lost time injuries and near misses and why it's important to report all that stuff and keep up with everything. But as far as bidding jobs, I don't know. Really, all I need is an address and
Uh-oh. What you got, Paul?
all I need is an
You got something?
yeah. The deer are blowing down there. Something's happening.
Oh yeah. Make sure it's not a bear,
Yeah.
man.
Oh man, Paul with the
Oh,
crickets. The
well,
crickets
that's
that
usually
sound
what it
like
means
goats.
when the deer start blowing like that in the middle of the night. That's usually a bear's moseying through. So yeah,
But
we got bears here constantly. I'm telling you,
no, I know.
y'all don't even know.
I
Even right here,
I watch all your videos, Paul.
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, then we got bears, dude, right
yeah.
here
But
in my yard. And
I love these
like I
looking
said,
behind him.
I'm
I'll
I
watch.
li-
I'll watch your six, brother.
Like seriously, you gotta like watch your back out there, you know?
It's fucking awesome.
oh yeah, that's why I say keep your head on a swivel out here, because
Uh-huh.
well, I mean,
You'll
we
get
got
got.
copperheads. My dog got bit by. We got copperheads. We got bobcats. And then I was reading this thing. Yeah, they're still going at it. So we might see something here in a minute.
All right,
Uh,
let's talk about the mines. How about how long do you spend down there when you
yes.
go down for a work day? I remember you saying it takes sometimes like an hour to get down there. And then you're down there
Oh,
for
it.
what? You down there for
You're
8 hours?
on the
You down there
job
for
probably
10?
20 hours, man.
20?
20 hours maybe. Oh, absolutely. So I've been in there 24 to come out, working steady, just humping it, just trying to get all the pipe hung. And that's why it's important for us. See, and then when I see y'all working and stuff, you're out there doing your. Now I carry my groover and all that kind of stuff, because we would sometimes have to groove pieces to make something work, like to customize, like where your water supply comes up out of where your the FDC connection. See, the FDC connection was already done. We go do them last year, and then that gives us something to tie to, do a workable pressure, 200 psi. So when we tie to that, then you tee off of there, and then you put your flow switches and all that junk in there, and then you take off, and then you hang your 2 inch trunk line up down the center of the belt or over the motors, or everything got fire suppression in there, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. But you you're working. You might got 3, 4 guys with you, and but it's like gravity is so much more gravity or something. I don't understand why things are so much more difficult underground. Uh,
Like
Plus it's where you're working,
more pressure?
and
You got
like
a lot of pressure
you,
down there on you?
well, dude, you're talking about tw- 21, 21 foot sticks of 2 inch, and you got to go through man doors. It's like an air control system. So you'll have the power center where you can get power, and that's the only place that's got lights. The fluorescent lights is over the power center right there. And the power center is this big, giant yellow steel box that just hums. It's got that, that's it right there.
What's what? That's
What
what?
is it? What do you see?
Look at the flashlight. Get the
That's
gun,
some
Paul.
deer
Get a
tied.
gun, Paul. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We got that took care of, but it should never come to that. But I'm just saying,
We got that took care
it's
of.
going wild out
I
here right this
fucking love
second.
this guy.
But yeah, hopefully it won't come to that. But uh,
Oh
yeah, they
shit.
usually listen to me. But they're curious, so they'll walk up right behind you, like they don't even care. Like, but I don't. I've never had them be aggressive to me or nothing like that. I just tell them to go on, and they'll go.
I'm so
But
intrigued. You got an impact gun down
you're
there?
kind of pardon.
You bring an impact gun and a bandsaw? Or you all
Yes.
oh you get power tools down there.
Well, we got our groover. I carry my groover, my Rigid 300, the tripod, and the groover, and then your impacts. So I carried a half-inch impact and the 3/4 impact with, and then we got a hammer drill. Of course, it's all Milwaukee stuff, and
Oh, so what are you drilling
because
into?
you'll have
You're
to.
like drilling into rock?
Yes, the top of the mine above the belt, it's solid rock, and that's
Huh.
even wild, dude. That's shit's so wild. But
Well,
there's
that's what I'm thinking.
before you go through there, years ago they'll come when they're advancing as the coal mine, as the miner. I call it a miner, not like a coal miner, but the actual miner, the thing that it's got these big rotating teeth on it that claws the coal out of the seam. And what it does is under the earth, under a farm in the middle of Pennsylvania, you'll have like a 500-acre farm. It'll all be coal mine underneath of there. Maybe 1,000 feet, 900 feet, or whatever it's underneath of the earth. And they'll mine along, and the miner they'll mine like these 20 foot a grid. It's a grid, and they mine around what they call pillars. So the pillars are the remainder of the coal that doesn't get mined out. So they'll go in a grid for miles and miles. There'll just be a grid of these where they remove the coal, and those are your travel ways. After the coal comes out, you can travel. But there's these big pillars. They're 80 by 80 squares that hold the land up above you. So they're like chair legs underneath of there. So you have coal that's in these pillars, and it holds the land up. Could have ponds up there, farms, shopping centers. Who knows what's up there? Usually it's just old farms and farmland and that kind of thing underneath of there. But it goes, and it's wild because once they mine to that person's property line, Mr. Brown's farm, they know where that is under the earth. So they can't go past that boundary if they don't have a contract with whatever's on the other side of his property. So they have to get groups of people to sell their coal because that the people that got coal mines under there, they sell it. That belongs to the people of America. I mean, when you buy a property in America, you own the coal and everything all the way down to the center of the earth.
You think I got
And
coal under my
whether
house, Paul?
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Who knows how big of a scene, but coal is everywhere, especially in the Appalachian Mountains, y'all up there in Massachusetts all the way to Maine, where the mountains have flipped over and covered up because all it is ancient swamp land
My guy.
because it's trees. And that's what I was getting to about the top. Like you're hammer drilling in, and um, you got your um, not the tap cons, but the
A shield? An anchor?
yeah, that your all thread screws into
Yeah,
the
anchor.
bolt.
Drop in
Yeah, the
anchor.
anchors go up in there, and then but they roof bolt it. So then they got these plates. They're like 12 by 12 plates, and there's one every 4 feet everywhere in the coal mine. And the roof bolting these dudes are badass right here because they got a little roof bolt machine that it'll drill a long hole up in the top as high as the bit can be, and they add to it, and then they get this red and green epoxy. It's in wax paper, and they run a roof bolt up in there. It's a long bolt, piece of all thread type bolt, and the machine runs it up into the top, and it's got a big plate on the bottom of it to help support the roof top from falling in. But sometimes you'll be going along, and you'll be you'll see these big look at the top of the mine, and you'll see this big circle, big big giant circle. It's like, what the hell is that thing? It's like a perfect circle in the top made of coal. So it'll be rock all the way around, and it'll be this circle of coal in the top, and you'll see where they roof bolt around that circle. And I didn't know that was what that was for a long time, but it's called a kettle bottom. And a kettle bottom, you learn this in your MSHA school, when you take your Mine Safety Health Administration test. That the kettle bottom is a tree that has turned to coal that is standing straight up. So that circle you're seeing is the base of the tree. But
So the
those
pressure
things,
changes it,
because of the
right?
shape of a tree, it goes up and it gets narrower as it goes up. The miner will be mining along and clawing out coal, and then you'll see this roof bolt. You have to back your miner out, or you'll see the kettle bottom. You have to back your miner out and have the roof bolters come in and immediately roof bolt around that because that thing will slide down out of there like a guillotine. Uh, and it's tons of but when it comes out of there, it's got bark on it. It's got the like vines that was on it back millions of years ago. It's just a tree that's turned into coal
What
because
the
what you're
hell?
in is a swamp. So it's ancient swamp ferns. You'll see all kind of strange things in the rib, um, like ferns and plant material, things like that. But they'll drag these kettle bottoms out, like these tree stumps. They'll take them up, and you'll see them like when you go into the mine office, they'll have it sitting outside. They found a good one. It's got all kind of, but the bark and it's got like bark all over it and vines. It's pretty wild. But those are a hazard. Like when you're working down there, you got to stay away from them. So if you run across one when you're trying to hang your sprinkler pipe, you try to avoid that section. And you're welcome to hang. There's a little hook on there, the plate that holds the top up. So a lot of times we'll just anchor onto the existing roof bolts. So you don't have to drill too much. Like every once in a while, like over over a motor or something that sits out to the side that needs fire protection, because you'll have to lateral over sometimes because you'll have a like a suction pump, big giant suction pump that's pumping. Um, Even though it's run by air, it does. There's moving parts there that can cause friction, and that's the main thing that can catch on fire at the belt is the rollers get hot because there's two rows of rollers for miles, and then these rollers are just on little steel pins, and sometimes they can get hung up. And but you'll have vulcanizers because you can only work from midnight Saturday to midnight Sunday. They don't shut the coal mine down for nothing. I mean, it don't matter
Oh,
what's
I
going
remember
on
this. I
outside.
remember this.
That's the only time that the coal mine shuts down, and that's the only time the subs can get in there to do things. I was a subcontractor, so I would travel around, and that's another thing I wanted to tell you too. I mentioned before about making a dollar over to highest paid uh, mine worker, and that's like a law. That's like a rule. I can't. My company can't underbid a union worker. So in order to get a job, we have to be paid like a dollar over the highest paid dude because to ensure that the contract wasn't got because of price. The I go to show up at the coal mine. It's like sometimes I'll go up in there and a union mine, and they're like, "You scabs," and I was like, I get them trapped up in that elevator, so I'm not shy. I'll tell them. I was like, "Look, dude, you can call me what you want, but I'm here to do shit that y'all have no idea what the hell you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't have
And
your
you're
own fire
you're
protection
also
staff.
doing this work like on your knees or bent over. Like you're doing all
Oh, it's
this.
terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
I'm and you know the western mines out west, they're big, so you ain't got to worry about crawling around. But over here, like in southern Kentucky and West Virginia, uh, those mines right there are brutal. Uh, because the seam is like going under your kitchen table.
Yeah,
There's only
none
a
of these
28-inch
guys,
seam,
none
dude.
of us can complain about work anymore.
No.
No, for like what you do
Oh well,
every single day, we can never complain. Like us guys on a freaking
Yeah.
ladder.
If you think you're having a bad day, just think about your hour trip under the earth so you can go crawl around in the coal.
and you only got 24 hours to finish your job, and if you don't, it's an embarrassment if you don't get finished. And one time I had my lock tag out. Shit, one time I forgot to take my lock off because they cannot cut your lock. It don't matter. The president of the United States, nobody can cut your lock. Once you lock and tag something out like the power center or the valve to turn the water on, um, after working 23 hours, your ass is like an hour down the road, and they will page your ass to come back and take that lock off. Nobody else can take your lock off once you lock something out. So that's not something you want to do is forget your lock at the
Don't
end of the
forget
day
that. So you,
because
you had to turn around that night?
oh yeah, it's like an act of Congress. Your ass, you won't forget another one. That's why I forgot one.
Damn
And
right.
thankfully, I wasn't too far. My hotel was right down the road, so dude, it was like I mean, I was looking for helicopters to be landing in the hotel parking lot. These some bitches are serious about their cold. You know what I mean? Don't do nothing that causes them not to be able to turn the power on to something. Because
Oh
one power
shit.
center, that's what runs the motors that turn the belt. Uh, and you know, you're down there too trying to hang sprinkler pipe, and there's the everybody, all the other subs are trying to work in there too and get shit done. And you got these dudes called vulcanizers, right? They're vulcanize the belt, so they'll cut the belt in half to like to extend the belt, or it'll have a joint in the belt that's like plap plap plap. That thing is dangerous. And I mean, it's you get the belt tore, and dude, it's crazy how that thing just it's flying. It's like 60-mile an hour, dude. Loaded with coal, and the end of that belt says plow, plow. You come by, you hear it coming.
Oh
You hear it
shit.
coming, you get the hell out of the way. But the vulcanizers who are the guys that fix the the belt, and this is a special breed of people, dude. These cats, I mean, hanging sprinkler pipe ain't shit. Dude, there's a lot of jobs in that thing. And then dude, like the magnet. There's this giant magnet. Dude. If you got a if you got a BB in your head from back in the '60s, that son of a bitch will suck your thing. I mean, they got a giant electromagnet that makes sure there ain't no metal in the coal, you know. And it'll take your shovel. It'll take your shovel and just rip it right out of your hands. It's a big electric magnet.
Paul,
But
you know
with
Erica?
Erica, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Erica, she's hardcore, son.
Yeah, she's in here.
Yeah, she was my apprentice back in the day, and
She
she
says
turned out to be a good fitter.
she says tell them about the old guy who thought coal was trapped sunlight. Isn't that you?
Trap sunlight.
Oh yeah, everybody knows that story. That's my
Yeah.
story right there.
Yeah, I remember that story
Yeah.
from last time. She said tell him the story.
Well,
Tell the story. Hey, the
yeah, 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 yeah,
LB11.
yeah.
So Reliable has an LB11 that is for,
Yes, LB11.
yeah, it's a 11.2 K factor.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to stop thermal runaway.
That's right.
I have to start putting those in the lithium sheds, Paul.
It's a lot of money.
Hey, do you see them taking down those
Yes.
windmills?
Oh, that's
Are you taking windmills down out there yet? Or no?
no, 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 no. These windmills I'm talking about, they've been in service for hell, 12, 10, 10, 12 years ago, maybe.
I think they only last like
Because see,
30. Don't they only last like
well,
30 and then you can't there's no way to
it's
recycle them?
wild, dude. Well, there's no reason to recycle nothing. They're fairly simple machines. The blades and all that. There's carbon blades and all that. Yeah. Once you open that can of worms, you're married to that thing for quite a while. You know. You don't just do that and then shut it down. You know, working out the bugs is another thing because you know there's a lot of you know, a lot of innovation in energy. So I mean, they just and it comes down. Look, man, all this energy shit, it still comes down to BTUs and fire, right?
Yeah,
You gotta have
right.
fire for everything. You got to burn gas. You got to
You gotta burn some
even the
coal.
batteries. It's all about the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. You gotta burn coal. You
Coal
gotta burn some
and
fuel.
wood. I mean, shit.
Petroleum.
Even in a hospital apartment building, that's why we do what we do because sheetrock has an ignition point. Everything that's made from the earth it will burn. So, um,
I went
you
to
know,
a
sometimes we get
burn
caught
building
up
today.
in fitters and just hanging pipe and putting in heads and all this kind of stuff. But once you get beyond that, you start thinking because you know, we just had classes. We had mad classes. We had to understand a lot of things, and I didn't do the algebra part and the thing, but they come in there, and my boss man won't mind standing up there at the board and scratching out this crazy big algebra sequence of things and tell you what the pressure of the pipe and all this kind of shit. Because we had one, like we had to have the fire pump kept kicking on on this big lumber yard and it was aggravating. Like you know, once a day, twice a day, sometimes this fire pump would kick on, and it was losing pressure. It had a leak underneath of the warehouse, and so my company they come up with they're all engineers. Uh, uh, these cats are super smart scientists, and my boss man called me on my BlackBerry because we carried a BlackBerry shit like that, but he called me and he says, "This is what I need you to do. Go to the pump room, and I need you to charge it with 212 psi air, and then you're going to put the water on that, and the air will migrate to where the leak is, and it will take once you get it pumped up, the air will compress at like 600 psi to so much volume, and it will all it will do with the air will migrate to the leak and create a bubble around that leak. And instead of leaking water, it will leak air, but it takes like 15 times longer to leak the air out than it does the water.
Sounds like a
Uh,
bad idea.
yeah, right. But
Did it work?
it was the shit worked.
That sure works.
It worked. It worked. I was like, you got to be shitting me. Yeah, yeah, like it'd be dangerous or something. But at least they know where the leak is when it comes pushing up the asphalt, because it was allegedly under the building where it couldn't be readily dug up and repaired. So they were just trying to buy some time, and that's we bought the time with the air, and so and then I think they had to locate it with the air because I don't know, but all I just did I did like I said, sometimes you just got to do like you're told and move on.
That's it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I don't hear back. I'm like, shit, evidently it worked or something because I haven't had to go back there.
Erica's in here supporting
And a
you.
lot of times that fire pump, pardon?
Erica's in here. Tell Paul I'm here. I promised him I would watch. Love him and Yves to death. You gotta understand, Paul doesn't finish the sentence because he's 6 sentences ahead mentally. He's always ahead of you. He's a fucking mad scientist.
Dude, he's awesome.
I
We
love it.
love having Paul on.
Yeah,
Oh
I can't.
shit.
I'm still thinking about the shit that I haven't told you about the thing about the fan testing because
Oh shit, I love it. Go ahead.
can we go back to these battery barns? That's why I just want to get these battery barns out of the way because I watched the show about the batteries. I love this shit. I eat it up. I don't know. I'm fully vested. You know what I'm saying? So
Appreciate
if
that.
there's a mystery to be had, I'm trying to solve it all the time. Even my wife will tell you, it's like don't worry about the battery chargers, okay? Because my buddy got a they got all these electric cars everywhere, and they're plugging them in, and not even a fire extinguisher out there. If I was to do that, if I was to charge my forklift at work or some shit, I would need have to be some kind of fire extinguisher or something, safety first thing. But I just don't think people thought about this shit and how because these electric cars are burning stuff down. I mean, if something goes wrong, God forbid, they burn your house down. I mean, because they're right out in your house. You're charging this thing
Right in the
because the
garage.
phone are in the garage. Exactly, and like they're asking people to do something to not be safe. I mean, if you was an employee and this was the garage was at your work, you would have to recognize some kind of safety protocol uh, around something like that. So we got a long way to go with this shit. And like I said, you can't just spray water on everything.
No, doesn't work.
Uh, so it's pretty strange. It needs to be intrinsic safe where it monitors itself. I believe that's going to be
I
part
like
of
that.
the fire suppression, like pre-fire suppression, where it monitors itself. It shuts the power down. It disconnects um, the any kind of power connection. I'm not sure how it has to
Intrinsic.
happen,
So
but
that's actually in the works. So it's the I know that that technology will do all those things, and it will also now it's not it's not some of it's not available yet, but I think right now you're able to monitor like systems, like even a hydrant. You're able to monitor everything in a fire pump room. You're able to see the GPM that it's pumping during the fire and see the location of the fire through the water flow
Oh
switches.
yeah, we
yes.
just talked to these people, right?
Yeah, so SPP pump's doing a lot with it. And then, but the future is to be automated, and then everything's reporting. So you won't even be involved. And then you can also shut valves automated, and that's the future. So
Well,
that's
it's
really
like that
exciting.
now. I do little side stuff sometimes, like backflow preventers on commercial buildings. I bid on that stuff sometimes, and they got these backflow preventers, dude, that will sell. It's got a cellular text. It will text you when the water flows happen, when something's happening. It'll text
Mhm.
anybody. All you got to do is put the little code in, and it's got its own. It's like one of them game cameras that will send
Right.
you a picture. Well, this thing's the same way. And all it is is a backflow preventer that will let you know when the water's off to your building, to your dentist office, or sometimes. But in the middle of the night, it'll text you and tell you there's been been a problem And how hard is that to do with just about anything? I mean, all it is a little tiny black box. That's all it is, and it gets its own signal. It's weird, man. But yeah, they got stuff that's monitored that I feel like that really that's all great. But how about monitoring something that really means something? You know what I'm saying? Like your like the flow switches rather than the the water gong has got to go off when you get flow in a building. But how hard would it be just to text somebody? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we're a little bit behind in all of that, not just in the lithium ion battery business, but I'm looking at all these old timey things that all it is a little tiny thing that's got a little sensor in it. That when it gets wet, it's like the thing on your car that winds your windows up for you if it senses rain. You
Yeah,
know,
I like
Right.
that. And
I don't think
anytime
they're
you get a flow switch, you get a text. Anytime someone
yeah,
shuts a tamper,
bam,
you
it
get a
just
text.
boom, whoever's on the network. You know, because sometimes
And
you could get like plumbers working there that shut the water down that don't that or a head goes off trying to somebody in there soldering a water heater up or some HVAC guys in a room and the thing goes off and like nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows nothing. They're scattering around. They just get buckets. It's like, dude, just shut the shit off. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the little text thing, the little cellular connection would be freaking awesome for this. But that leaves it open for people in the fire suppression business.
What's up,
Uh,
George?
of course, just like to make some bank on
Erica
this
said there's
because
tons of reports of Tesla cars reigniting in junkyards.
really, I mean,
Them,
Teslas are,
them things are dangerous.
yeah. And then people
yeah, there's a
put
lot of
those in
voltage
their
there.
garages.
And
There's
plug
no
and
way.
I
plug it
know it,
in.
right? And plug it in.
Yeah,
Yes,
electricity bill's got to
I
be
don't even like.
astronomical.
Well, they're saying don't even put your cell phone on your bed. You know, some people will throw their cell, put the plug their charger into their cell phone and throw it on their bed, and then they'll go take a shower or do whatever. Well, these things get so hot, charged, especially if you charge it too many times, because everybody
Yeah.
tries to get their money's worth out of their phone. But if it's bulging out a little bit and then it's getting hot, it's time to get rid of that summit. You know, because you could throw it on your bed, you come back and the whole damn bedroom on fire just from a little tiny battery in a phone.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's why our job, the fire suppression industry, is so important. And that's another thing I want to touch on before we get out of here is trying to get young people involved. Because I mean, I could tell my story about how I didn't know jack shit about fire suppression until the man told me I don't want you for what you know. I want you for what you're willing to know. And I was like, man. And then they started giving me certificates, and I get my apprenticeship, and then it's this, and then finally get my journeyman card, and all this. And every time in my company, they give you awards for everything, dude. They pay you $70 a a pay cycle a week to be safe because they pay you for not losing lost time. And if you want your people to do better, you just got to pay somebody. You know what I mean? And so yeah, young people getting into this, and then you gain some pride, and then as an inspector, you're out there, and I can shut this KFC down. You know what I mean? Finally, you got some power, dude.
Mm.
Where all your life you ain't had no power, but you make a young man an inspector and tell him what he's got to do and be there, get their back because. I kind of made a fool out of myself one time. I went to inspect the McDonald's and I was scurrying around. I'm trying to find a fire panel to get the number uh, to call the alarm company and tell them that I'm putting this in test mode. And I started asking employees, "Where the hell's your fire panel at? What the hell's that?" And it was like this red box. It should be a red box in the office somewhere, anywhere, right here. So I had employees were scurrying around trying to find an alarm panel. And finally, even the manager didn't know what the hell they were talking about. And then finally, I get all they had was their little dry uh, sprinkler above their fryers over there. No monitor, no alarm, no nothing, no panel, no nothing. It was just a canister of fire extinguisher hanging on the wall. So that's all you had to do. You do their inspection. I was like, this is crazy. This is 21st century. You know, it was, and nobody knew, and everybody's got to be involved. Even if people's a person at Walmart that works in a deli back there, look up and look at these heads that's all over the place. And like, it's part of your job, But people don't look at it like that. It's like, well, we got a guy that comes in here and takes care of all that shit. Well, you should still understand what makes it work. I would think, but whatever. But you give a young man that's instead of going to the military, that I would advise against that too. Not voluntarily anyhow. If they come and get you, drag you out of your house, that's a different story. But I went because we didn't have no money. You know what I'm saying? My family, my mama raising 4 kids by herself and didn't have no money. And I was a smart kid in school, but I wasn't smart enough to get that scholarship type money. So I signed up for the military. They want to take care of me. And then after I got out of there, the infantryman, I didn't know. They didn't train me to do nothing. I couldn't balance my books. I couldn't do nothing more than I did when I went in, but blow shit up, and that don't work out here in town. So, but that's when I found got into plumbing through a family thing, and then I got into sprinkler fitting. And dude, after that, it's like I found the greatest company in the world. I don't know. I think it is. Pillar Innovations. They take care of us. You got 401k, you got healthcare junk, and all this kind of shit, and but they max you out. So I couldn't possibly make any more money than I'm making right now. Or any of that kind of stuff. But for a young man, I mean, I've over the years, I've bought property. I'm sitting on property now. I got houses and all that kind of thing, which we didn't have before. But it's not just about. There's so many things. Oh, good one. About the battery barns. One of the most important things in a battery barn is it needs to be fan tested, right? Which is part of your fire suppression system. Every unit, and even buildings and houses, we travel around with a fan, which I love it. You figure, you put it from a low pressure system inside the building to a high pressure system and see, because sometimes it'll hold low pressure but not high pressure, and vice versa. But you get a fan that goes in the doorway and you seal everything up. And it's important when you're using clean agent to make sure there's no air infiltration coming in anywhere around roof joints or a weld or anything like that. And if there is, you'll find it. You'll find it with the fan test. You'll
But how
find
do you
out if
find
you
that? Like what happens when you do that? How do you find it?
well, you take it down to like 80 millibars. You put it actually your fan goes tight in the door, and it's got these. You know, mount your fan up in this bracket that goes in the door. It's an airproof seal, and you crank it shut, and it's got a seal around it, and it bows out, and then you start your fan, and you got your meter on there, and you record how many millibars of drop that you got, and then how it stabilizes. So once it stabilizes, you find that it's sealed up. There's no need to go anymore. Once it's in, um, once it holds, 3 millibars here or there, you're good. But sometimes you'll get them. Most of the times you'll get them that got, especially around like the conduit where conduit comes in, and it's because to put conduit, you can't have the conduit touching the cut area. It's got to be sleeved, so you got a double sleeve, so it'll be leaking around the sleeve or all kind of weird stuff, like holes and things. So in order to use the clean agent, you're just wasting your time if it's full of holes. Even one small bit of oxygen, because it's a chemical process. When it goes off, it just completely depletes all oxygen. Like a fire can't even burn. So it just extinguishes it like that. It just suffocates a fire. But some systems they do count down where they're occupied buildings. There's different rules, a different thing. Like the battery barns aren't occupied. They can be. So, but some things like big machinery rooms, things like that, that got pumps that are covered. Uh, like we did a um, coverage on Oh, it was some kind of internet. Uh, had all the what do you call them where they store the terabytes of information
The data center?
and
Yeah, like data center. Yeah.
yeah, like a big data center, like down below the college, and it required clean agent, but it had because there was people in there all the time. It had a countdown thing, so it was kind of ominous when that thing went off because it started counting down, and it's like you had to evacuate. Weird, it's weird, strange, man. It's like and then the voice is like they, I'm sure scientists figure out the
10,
most annoying, weird
9,
voice we can get to count
8,
down because
7,
it sounds dangerous as hell.
6.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Strange, but that's all part of the fire suppression thing. And like y'all, I don't know what y'all if y'all just do commercial residential, just plain old. But you're going to find yourself in these car dealerships now because car dealerships, you look in the service department and they got CO2 detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and mounted up on the wall that just monitor the air quality and things like that inside the shop. And but there's no fire suppression on their charging things, and they even got this giant thing that rides out in the. It's like a giant robot thing that you follow behind it and use a keypad. It's a giant battery that you could drive it instead of driving the car because of course the car's dead, so you can't drive it nowhere. You have to take this big giant battery out there, and it charges several cars in a day. They can plug 2 or 3 cars into it.
Right.
Depends on
I've seen
what
those.
model of this thing you got. But it parks right back in the shop back there. It's got its own little cubby hole, but there ain't no fire suppressor and shit back there. And it's like a giant battery
Yeah, you better
that,
hope it doesn't go up. I better hope it doesn't overheat and go up one day. Whole building's gone.
yeah, I mean, uh, I was going through there the other day and they had a fire extinguisher missing and it was just gone, absent from the thing. Oh, well, hell, I got around there. I said, well, I, I told the owner on my sheet, I filled it out that there was a missing fire extinguisher. So, of course, I put him another fire extinguisher in there and he went down to the shop and he's like, does anybody know what happened to the fire extinguisher? And he's like, oh, yeah, like a week ago, this woman's car caught on fire. He said, here at the dealership. And he was like, no, it was out there in the road at the light out there and her car caught on fire. So he said, so you naturally use my extinguisher to put out the fire. He's like, well, yeah, we didn't know what to do. And he's like, let it burn. I said, God, come on, dude. Don't get
Pretty
on the
much,
guy
you almost
about giving
have to
away a fire
unless you have
extinguisher.
special, something special to put it out. There's no other option.
Yeah, you probably just wasted the fire
Yeah,
extinguisher, right?
right. I mean, yeah. So he was bitching about the fire extinguisher missing and
Yeah.
having to buy
Uh,
another one.
you see the firemen out there trying to put out an electric vehicle car fire on the road, and they just can't. They just keep on spraying it with more and more water. It just keeps burning.
Doesn't matter, dude. And it's like an arc welder, dude. I don't know if you've seen one up close, but I've seen that shit. And it's like some kind of star burning in there. It's white, and I don't know if it's the metal. It's like when you light magnesium on fire or something like that. I mean, it's just the
Yeah.
whitest, brightest, bluest flame ever. And I don't give a shit what you put on that thing. It's just going in. It melt into the asphalt, dude. Catch the asphalt on fire. Now you got an asphalt fire.
What
It's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
It's wild, man.
This is awesome talking to you every time.
Man, I wish I'm telling you because there's so much. Even like at the coal mine thing, when you first go to coal mine, everything is white. You think a coal mine is black, but
What do you mean
they
everything's white? What are you talking about that?
it's white. It's covered with rock dust, dude. That's fire suppression, right? Boom. Fire suppression. Got to have lime rock sprayed all over the coal. The surface of the coal has to be covered with lime rock for the fire
Whoa.
This
suppression.
dude's a trip. Oh, I
Everywhere,
love this
everywhere in
shit.
the mine. So it's white dust. It shits everywhere, and it's deep too. They don't mind. They don't get cheap on that shit. It'll be ankle deep in the middle of the road right there. But they spray that shit in big things. They just coat everything, every surface of the coal. Because if there's an explosion somewhere else in the mine, what the idea is the explosion will shake the coal dust off the surface of the coal and then ignite. Boom! Because coal dust is super flammable, and it will keep the coal dust or the lime, the crushed rock dust. It just keeps the ignition point. It makes it non-existent. So um, now it doesn't do much for gas, but if a gas pocket ignites somewhere else in the mine, it doesn't shake the coal dust and ignite the whole thing.
Mm.
So that's part of your fire suppression too. Is the coal dust and gunite. They got gunite that's sprayed around the belt area where the motors are at. And gunite is a sprayed concrete, and it's just a foam spray, and they just coat everything with this concrete shell to cover the surface of the coal to keep it from igniting.
There's a lot of
So
guys down there.
fire
Do
is
you wear a respirator?
nope, nope,
No.
no. You got your little rescuer on you, and it's good for 30 minutes if anything should happen. But I mean, with everything else that's down there, there's no need. We still got black lung disease, and but they've discovered it's not the coal. Of course, coal's black, so everybody's like, "Oh, black lung disease is the coal's causing it," but it's not the coal. It's actually the silica in the rock uh, that causes more of that type shit than because silica is little tiny glass shards that you could breathe in, almost like fiberglass, and it
Bad,
gets in your lungs
bad.
and it rots your lungs out. And so, but you still got what's strange is about the black lung. It'll recede. It'll go back, and it's like back in the early '90s, it was almost non-existent, and then in the late '90s, here it come back again. But it's striking young people more than it does the older miners. For some, they're not really sure why that is, and then all of a sudden, like it goes in waves. So it's a good thing to be mindful of that too. But there's no rhyme or reason who gets it, or just I guess the longevity of being in the mine, and that's a good thing about being fire suppression, being a subcontractor, is I go to all the mines, but I don't spend a lot of time there. I travel around to Michigan, to Ohio, Pennsylvania, just all the time going to different mines that require our assistance in what we do and our specialties of what we do. Um, but so of course, anything can happen, but the less time you spend down there, a lot better. A lot of these locals, they'll do 5 years, and then they'll take a year off, and then they'll go back and like just to limit their amount of time. But some cats been in there 30 years trying to get their retirement.
Wow.
My father-in-law actually worked at a coal mine for 65 years. He was in the
65?
65
news
years.
store. 65 years, dude. He
Holy
tells a
shit.
story about how he got back from the war, World War II, in '45, and then he could have went to work for the bridge company or bridge department in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or down to Ohio to work at uh, Steubenville Coal, and he because his wife's family was from down yonder, he took the coal business, and that dude was in the same worked for the same company for 65 years.
Wow.
And of course, in his later years, he was a parts guy. He'd get parts for the coal tipple because you got surface mining, underground mining, all kind of shit. I'll tell you, them cranes, all that they all get fire suppression. You got it's under uh, NFP.
What you got for me, Paul?
Shit, I should know this. 415 or something like that. Like it's mobile fire suppression. So it's basically just a fire extinguisher with heads on it. But there's fire suppression all kinds in the mines, any kind of mine, whether it's a damn salt mine or a lithium mine, right? They're mining salt now out in California. So there's no shortage of jobs in the fire suppression business. Uh, so that's what I think about young people getting into it because it's something you can. It's not that labor intensive. It takes
Unless you're in a
some,
mine.
Yeah, unless you're in the mines.
unless you're in a mine, but once you get it figured out, it's just like any other job. I definitely wouldn't want to be stuck in no office, bunch of office people. I don't,
Ooh.
I couldn't be there
Same.
either. So I like being out there and working them wrenches and doing that kind of thing. I like the plumbing thing. I live plumb. And once you're a plumber, you learn because that's what we all are really is a plumber. Once a plumber, always a plumber. Because you plumb things. You can't have a door that works without plumbing it. A door's got to be plumbed. You got to live plumb. Don't lean any way one way or the other, whether it's politically or with your anger or with your drug use, alcohol use, any kind of shit like that. If you're going that way, you're not living plumb. You got to be plumb. And that's really, if something's going to set you one way or the other, you just got to look at it and be like, well, if I live like that, I'm not living plumb. The plumb life is a real thing. Uh, just don't lean any way too far one way or the other. Just go right down the middle. And
I like that.
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
live plumb. We should have a T-shirt, because in the end, we're all judged by the plumb bob. Um, the plumb line. If you was to hold it up, how would you measure up to your plumb line? Are because plumb is plumb, man. There ain't no way around it. Even like all your heads and all that kind of stuff. I mean, and then once you I can look at things. Really, I can look at stuff and tell you it's not plumb or it's crooked somehow or something like that. So it kind of becomes second nature to you.
NFPA 121,
121.
the
That's right.
standard on
Yes, it's
fire protection for self-propelled and mobile surface mining equipment. You like
yes,
you like that one?
that's beautiful. Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's a whole business. That's a whole business. Like I said, shit, don't limit yourself because there's people that need your help, and you can't be afraid to bid some of them jobs. Like if you want to add some more people and be like, you know what, man, they're starting, like we was talking about with the grow rooms, the marijuana business,
Right.
all that stuff. I mean, that's a whole new industry that needs your help, and they're willing to pay for it because you're talking about, you don't want to lose all your product, whether you're at Macy's or whether you're growing reefer or coal or whatever. That's really that's your living, So you don't want. And fire has no discretion. That shit, everything will burn. I don't give a damn what it is. We've seen that with the 9/11 shit. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and once you reach that certain point, there ain't no going back. Just like the cars we was talking about too. Um, and we're beyond water. We're beyond a lot of things. Like I said, the whole cellular thing. I don't know why we haven't been as far as we have into the fire business because that's even with the Maui thing. That just tortured me. I'm like, man, they didn't even want to set off the fire, the sirens. They was like, well, people will hear it and think it's a tsunami and run into the fire. I'm like, shit, let them decide. You know what I'm saying? If a goofy bastard runs up the hill and he sees a fire, you go the other way. But
Right.
it's hard to make a judgment call. But if the damn bus is stuck in the snow, they'll damn sure text the parents and tell them that the bus won't be there to pick up your kid for school.
Right.
Yep.
That's way far more advanced than we got in fire suppression. If they call off school, the kids damn sure know it within minutes. But if something catches on fire, he'll burn for 30 minutes, for an hour before anybody's notified. To me, it just doesn't make any sense.
You
It's like
taught
no seatbelts on a school
Did you
bus.
teach you taught Erica how to braise last Saturday over the phone?
How to breathe?
Braise. 2-inch copper
Brace.
2-inch copper brazing.
Oh, brazen, yeah, with their
Brace.
oxyacetylene and their
That's
silver
it.
solder. Yes.
Heat that thing till it's brown, right?
You know,
Just
2 inch copper, two
melt
inch
it.
copper joints.
You got to get it so hot to do brazing.
So hot, no flux, no nothing. Just let it turn blue, and then it's
That's
that
it.
color that I look for.
Yeah, if you're ever gonna braise, you just
Yeah,
got
you
to
hit that
add
silver
more heat.
solder
You
on there.
gotta get more heat.
Add more heat. Yes,
More heat.
extreme heat. That's why you got to have the oxygen thrown in there.
That oxyacetylene. Man, it's already been an
Yeah.
hour.
Dude.
Oh
Holy
shit.
shnikes.
Then we're gonna
Yeah.
have to have you on again.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, man. I mean, I can talk
That's,
fire suppression for
until you run out of
days.
stories, we're gonna keep
Whoa.
having you back.
Yes, please. Yeah, if somebody bails out on you, I'll come on here and we'll sit in the corn patch and we'll talk more shit.
Corn
Try
patch with
not
the
to get
I
eaten by
can't
a
believe we
bear.
ain't got no bears yet though, because
with the crickets.
um yeah, we got crickets. I'm telling you, I live out in the middle of nowhere, y'all. I don't see cars for days. Like if
You
I
got
got to
a
go to town
do
to
you
see
got a
a car.
mailman that comes up there if
But
I wanted to send you something?
nope,
Where do you
no, but we do got it down there.
Whoa.
I go to town and get my mail like Beetlejuice. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we wanna send you something. So we gotta get your
Really?
information.
Y'all send me something. Look here, I can
Look,
keep this. Matter of fact, Erica's granddaddy. This is where I got my pocket reference book. This dude got everything in it.
what's
I was going to say, uh,
what's in there?
man,
What reference for what? Code? Life?
just everything, man. Like the oh shit, everything about they got equations for figuring pressure, volume on
What's it
pipe,
called? What's
on
it
what
called?
a pocket ref.
Pocket
It's
ref.
just about everything. It's
And fire
before
protection?
it's got the only fire protection shit it's got in here is like ignition points
The
and like
world
your
famous pocket reference book.
It's cheap. It's $10.
So
yeah,
do you not
dude.
have TV or anything like that, or
It's got everything, dude. Pipe sizes, shit, man. It's got zip codes in here for every city. I mean, it's just shit. It is real tiny writing, but it's like a laptop, dude. You can figure out like when your pivot gauge, when you're flow testing. It's got all the formulas in here to figure out your flow, and just tons of shit you wouldn't
it
even
also
dream
has
of.
like on Amazon it has
Holy
4.8 stars
shit.
out of almost 5,000
That's so
ratings.
much stuff. Various temperatures, dry air, specific heated,
Dude,
20
it's awesome.
constant temperatures, and various pressure, air tool, PSI requirements, CFM, PSI, various nozzle
Dude.
sizes. It's just, you just keep reading forever.
You know, if I'm gonna buy this,
Standard
and
Forever.
if my
deviation,
son
climate
ever
data.
tells me that he's bored, I'm gonna hand it to him.
Like, read a couple pages, kid.
Dude, hand it to me. There's some
Yeah.
amazing stuff. Like I said, it's
S-
got shit.
Brief.
Hell, it's got freaking zip codes, area codes. I mean, just any question you could come up with is in this
U.S.
bastard. And
cities, time zones, climate information, military rank, radio codes, Morse code, three-phase electrical motor specs, horsepower versus torque versus RPM. Yeah, that thing. I think I'm gonna get one of these and flip through this bad boy.
yeah, because you can figure like your cord length for wonder why your tools ain't your groover motor ain't working right because your the cord size and all. I mean, it's got everything you need to
I
know on
think
there.
it's $12.
The resistance
Yeah, it's
on the power.
1166.
Oh, that's what I see.
Yeah,
1166.
hey, knowledge is
Nothing.
inexpensive, dude. Yeah, knowledge is free sometimes, most
I
of the
know.
time.
I'm
But
part. I'm part of the spoiled generation where I just get on Google real quick, and I don't know if they're telling me the truth or
Yeah.
not. But whatever I
Go
Google,
ahead
it
and
well, a
get
lot
it,
of
Bobby.
times
It's
you
as
be
much
out.
as your box of crackers, you know?
Yeah,
Hey, let me ask. So, do y'all eat lunch? You brought that up.
yeah. I
Bobby
bring my
doesn't let
dinner.
his guys eat lunch, so I didn't know
I
kind of what
bring my
y'all.
dinner. Yes, I bring a dinner bucket.
Dinner
Your
bucket.
little cooler. Yeah,
Cool.
it's
All
like a
right.
little it's a bucket of dinner. But
Cooler's what the rest of
yeah, it's
the
funny
rest
story.
of
Yeah.
normal people call it.
One cool story I had in the coal mine. I'm standing there at my groover and I'm grooving a big ass piece of pipe and and I was like, oh, it's just going and there's not a lot of people in there. There's a couple guys around and the coal miners were there and I feel this pull on my mine belt. Dude jerked me off of my machine like as I'm
Whoa.
jerked me forward, but my foot come off the pedal, and I turn around, and I'm like, what the hell? What the hell's going on? He said, go sit with Buddy. Well, I don't know Buddy from nothing. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. So he pointed down the belt, and he's like, go sit with Buddy. And he just went on somewhere. So I unplugged my shit and walked down there, probably about, I don't know, 30 yards or something. And there's this old boy down there. He laid down against the rib, just sprawled out. And I was like, buddy, how you doing, man? Are you all right? And he was like, how'd you know my name? I said, forget that. I said, what's going on with you? I said, are you diabetic or something? And he nodded his head just a little bit. So I ran back to my dinner bucket. And I had a daggum Little Debbie Swiss roll in there with one of them little tiny Coca-Colas. I ran back down there to that Coke, and I told him, I said, here, buddy, put this to your lips, that little tiny Coca-Cola, it was cold. And I said, put this on your lips and see what that feels like. He got a sip of that Coca-Cola, and he started sitting up. He started coming through. I said, here, eat this cake. Because in the Mine Health and Safety Administration test, in your coal mine test, they tell you go through health classes and everything. They're like, how many men in here have had a heart attack? Well, of course, nobody wants to put their hand up, And it would say, how many men in here think they had a heart attack? Of course, I put my hand up. I think I had one. You know what I'm saying? And he said that's why men die, because they ignore the signs of a heart attack. And but anyway, they tell you all these cool little things in your health class. But they said one of the important things to know is you can always give a diabetic sugar, regardless of their situation. You can always give them sugar, bring them back to life. Uh, Even though it's a sugar imbalance thing, but you can always give, even though their sugar's high, sky high, you can give them sugar. It's just not insulin. So I gave him that sugar, that little sugar cake, and that Coca-Cola, and he's coming back to life. And he's like, oh, I said, how's that? He's sipping on that Coke. And all I was thinking after he came back to life was, please put that sumbitch down so I can have a shot of it, because I was like in shock, man. And then I didn't have nothing. I gave him all my shit. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I gave that old man all my stuff to save his life. And then they took him off, and he set that can down. And I swear to God, y'all, even after that old man drank it, because I was thirsty then, all of a sudden, there ain't nothing to drink down there. I picked that can up and I shook it, and there wasn't a drop in that bastard. That old man had sucked down every bit of my Coca-Cola.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Paul goes down
yeah,
to the
there ain't
mine with
nothing.
Swiss rolls and Coca-Colas.
Yeah. Just a sugar thing. You get you
Oh,
going.
I
You know what I'm saying?
love it.
Because you
Oh, I
can't
know
take it.
all about it.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, you just got to take the minimum stuff just to keep you alive till you get the
You
hell out
carry
of there.
tourniquets? Me and Bobby were actually talking about tourniquets today over text. Do you carry tourniquets?
Tourniquets? Why would I carry a tourniquet?
Just in case something the
What if,
bleeding
I don't know, what if you're
happens.
down way down yonder and something happens? You got a puncture, you got a nice leak in your arm or something.
Well, again, here we go back to your Mine Health and Safety Administration. You in order to get your mine card, you have to go through all kind of rigorous training and classrooms and tests and all this kind of shit. So, and basically, it's just basic first aid stuff. But um, yeah, that's why it's important to work safe. You're on your own. You're on your own, dude. If you get your leg or finger caught in a piece of machinery, it's your dumbass fault. Don't do that shit, because there ain't no help coming. You know what I'm saying? You have to be self-reliant. You have to make sure, because, and dude, it is sad, because if you see your boy falls out just for no reason, you have to be cautious. You can't just run up there and drag your buddy out, because there could be gas. So now one guy's down. You go up there to try to help him, and boom, you just fall out. Just one breath of methane, dude. You're done. I mean, you're done. It just kills you like instantly. And so there's a lot of things you got to know. That's why you got to constantly be checking for gas. You got to mind your safety shit, because that's how we survive in a coal mine. Is you got to be safe, and it's drilled into your head. And like I said, they pay you. It's important to pay people to be safe, because one man gets killed, dude, it shuts shit down. And when they start an investigation, because I've been there, and there's been a couple men killed at the same mine where I was at, and one old boy waiting on his retirement because they just run the engines, the tow motors that tow like materials up and down the tracks, all this kind of shit, and it runs on DC. I had one old boy. Something happened where the train, where his man trip or the engine he was driving had slipped off of the track. Well, it slipped off just enough, and he didn't get hurt, but it slipped off the track. He calls the top and said, I'm off the track down here because they kind of know they could see from their little screens up there. They monitor a lot of shit down there. There's no cameras, but there's sensors and things like that will tell you that the tow motor is not moving or whatever. And he called radios to the top. It says my motor is it slipped off the track. So he's like, all right, we'll get somebody down there. Well, instead of going over there and sitting his ass down and eating his Swiss rolls, he decides he's going to look up under there and see what the problem was. Well, when he did, he was down looking up under the machine, and the damn thing slipped on him and squished him. Well, that was his last day right there. So just not being mindful of your surroundings and just forgetting where you're at because it's easy to do, especially if you've been there a long time. And that's why they drill it into your head. You've got to be safe. A safe company is a profitable company. A safe company is a profitable company. A safe company is probably that's your pledge, man. You can't cause your company to lose any money because you got hurt. That's very important. Very important. Because that's part of it. I mean, what the hell are we doing it for if we're going to be out dead or broke up because of something that we did foolish or just wasn't. And they'll tell you too, dude, if it takes you 4 more hours to do this job and do it safe, that's what we want you to do. We don't mind paying you.
Absolutely.
We do not
That's
mind
it.
paying you. So sit there and
Got to
look
do it
and
right.
make sure.
Erica says you guys have bleed stop in the truck. Bleed stop in
Bleed stop.
every work truck and a glove box separate from a med kit because you have about three. I rolled up on a floor guy that was leaking one time from his leg, and I think the tourniquet saved him. And I was carrying that tourniquet for years before I got to use it, but now I have like tourniquets everywhere just in case.
Yeah.
You never
Yeah,
know.
I know the dude that was working on cabinets on a job, and the goofy bastard took a skill saw blade, one of them little 4-inch cordless skill saw blades, like the little circular saw blade, and he put it on his grinder and was sitting there in a pair of shorts and topsiders cutting trim on a cabinet, and the damn thing caught and it cut his leg on the inside. He drops it. He had it locked wide open. It bounced around and cut his legs all to pieces. And then finally he was able to pull the cord out and it chopped him up bad. And then of course he was out. He was done. He got him in the ambulance. Thankfully he didn't bleed out, but he was about to bleed out. But there would be no tourniquet for that dude right there. It was just he was minced up with that stupid when that saw went bouncing around all over the place. But again, it was because he was doing something that was. It's just not. Don't do that shit. Don't rig something up to try to. They make shit for that. You know what I mean? Don't try to build your own tools and because that shit's dangerous. You can't
uh,
put a grinder on something 2,000 RPM on a little blade with no guard on it. And I know another guy that was wired back the thing. He was cutting dowel rod, like the wooden dowels, the little wooden rods to make a wire rack. And he had it holding down, but it kept hanging up on the guard, so he wired the guard back. Well, of course, it pinched the blade, and it jumped up and bam, it chopped his little finger off. And he didn't come out with it squirting, and his finger was missing and all that shit. And,
Jeez.
and we had to go find it. He's like, everybody, start searching for the finger because they took him on the ambulance. They said, if we find the finger, we find. Dude, this finger, I didn't find it, but some other cat, I got it. It there was a trash can lid. You know, when them old Rubbermaid trash can, it was leaning. The trash can was sitting over here. The trash can lid was leaning up against the wall. Well, that finger hit it. We couldn't find it, and it flipped the lid around. Dude just moved the lid to see if it was back there, and it was stuck to the inside of that trash can lid. And then they went to the ice cream store next door, and they got some ice, and they put it in a cup, took it down there, and they still couldn't put it back on. So they're putting his toe on there or some bullshit. I don't know. I was like, but it's because he was doing something ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not how you do that, son.
Holy shit, Paul.
So, I mean,
Paul. This has been
but hey,
great.
workman's comp don't give a shit. You know, they tell you, you're going to have to pay that man to sit at the house now.
Yeah, for doing something,
Or,
for
you know,
doing something a little bit crazy.
yeah. And then your workman's comp, your company's workman's comp shit goes up. Their insurance, because now you can't pay nobody a raise because some jackass fell through the porch when he wasn't supposed to be out there on the cell phone. You know what I mean?
What about Big Rob getting in a fight with the Sawzall?
Oh yeah, the legendary shit. But when we used to be so wild, man, with shit, and never heard of safety shit until somebody started paying me, you know. But yeah, it's just
Dude,
people get hurt. But hell, I got attacked
endless
by a dog.
stories.
My dog chewed me up. See, I don't know if y'all can see it, pick it up on the thing, but see my arm is tore up. I got dog bites on me. I was back at work. I was like, shit, man, it's my fault, you know. It tore my arm up. I didn't know. I just wrapped the shit, put some peroxide on it, wrapped it, and went back to work, you know. But yeah, that was my thing. Unless it's gushing blood, get your ass back to work, because we ain't we ain't going to the that shit. We ain't going to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Unless something. Don't take me to no hospital. I'm not going there.
No, last resort. I'm trying my best not to go there. All right, we got to wrap this up, Paul. You
Me
want to give
too.
some you want to give something motivational for everybody before we go?
Yeah, never stop, never quit, never, just put yourself out there. I'm telling y'all, you get some self worth, get some pride. That's what a lot of our young people, they ain't got pride in what they do because they don't do nothing. But don't be scared to get out there and start a new career and start doing something. Because there's plenty of people out there. We need you. And like myself, I've been through a lot of apprentices myself, and we've had nothing but good times. And don't bully people, and don't put up with being bullied, because that shit don't work. We need to be nice to each other, and every time, you know. I thank you, thank everybody around you for what they do. Even the girl that bags your groceries. Tell that old girl thank you for everything you do. Always just live like that. Thank each other, because that's what we miss. Say some kind words to people. That's what we need to do,
My
because
guy,
this whole mean and hateful shit don't wash.
you're a legend. You're gonna have to come back. We're gonna have to
Hey,
keep having you back. I feel like you have hundreds
yeah,
of
because
more
we got
stories.
plenty more, man.
I can tell.
Yeah, because I love, like I said, the whole fire suppression thing, dude. It's just even plumbing, like all that. I started out as a young plumber, and
Live
uh,
plum.
before I got into sprinkler fitting, but I never knew pride. It's a good sense of pride until I knew I was helping save lives. That means something.
That's it. All right, everybody. We appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. If you want to get a hat or a shirt, they're right here at the website. Click that. That's it. Thank you for watching.